How you doing? My name is Franklin Cruz. So thank you so much. Again, I'm from True Investors. We're a veteran-owned business, and I'm super happy. We're about to go into Module 2. Why do we prioritize face-to-face transactions? Why is it a big deal? So the whole purpose, why face-to-face? Like, again, why face-to-face? Why have I actually met with sellers face-to-face? Why at True Investors we prioritize meeting with everybody face-to-face? And the main reason why, when we're going to jump into it, the first one is it builds trust and transparency. You see me, I see you. I'm a real person, you're a real person. You have a real property, and yes, we're going to actually evaluate that property. So the other thing is it ensures for us, it ensures the true value of the property. Look, if you've got anybody else that is attempting to make you an offer on your property sight unseen, that's not a real offer. Consider what they're doing is they're attempting to just get you to sign a contract at any price. Then they're going to go to the property, evaluate, and they're going to immediately start dropping that price as much as possible. And what they're going to do is, if not, now that they have a signed agreement, they can actually do what they call a notice of commencement. They can sign saying they have a legal right to your property, and now you have to pay them for them to stop the contract. And that's what they do. That's literally a business model, right? And you can see this in the news as well. Sometimes people have to charge $1,000, $2,500, or $5,000 to get rid of that individual, because now they're not going to give you everything that you wanted, but now you're locked into some kind of agreement with them. So it's not a good scenario. So for us, what I have found throughout the years of doing this has been the best thing that we could do is actually see the property and see what is the true value. Then when we do that, we're creating a win-win-win scenario. That is the ultimate goal, is that we can create 3 wins. And the way that it works is it's a win for you, it's a win for us, and it's the win for whoever the end user is that we're going to possibly be selling the property to, if it's a rehab or a renter to the property, or it could even be a corporation, like if you have land and we can create a development out of it. So that's why I always look at it's got to be the win-win-win scenario. Because if that happens, now we have something that everybody wins, and it works all the way around. So, and I always found that it works perfectly. So after overdoing 100 face-to-face transactions with sellers, I've learned quite a bit. I'm going to go over it, because what I've learned is, how do I create it and make it a win-win-win scenario every single time without fail? And then I created a formula behind that. So I'm going to review some case studies with you and kind of go over it with you. So I'm going to review the top case studies that I think would be the most impactful. So again, get your pen and paper out. I'm going to do my absolute best that we're going to jump into this and just make this happen for you, so you can really comprehend, okay, do I fall into this area? Do I fall into that area? Which way do I fall into? Okay. So, and then the other thing is, the biggest things that I've learned from working with sellers like you, I'm going to go over that too. So this is going to be interesting, kind of like that HGTV, but instead of which house are we choosing, I'm just going to go over live case studies with you and show you exactly what works, what doesn't work, how did we create that win-win scenario, and how does it work for you? Why are you listening? You want top dollar for your property, and I want to pay it, right? So I want to make sure that you understand us so we could understand you. I'm being fully transparent. I'm going behind the scenes, showing you behind the curtain and exactly how we do business, so you can understand when you call us, this is the expectations as well, so we could pay you that top dollar. And that's what I really generally want to do, because I know if I could pay you top dollar, I can create a win-win for the other way around. It's just got to work for everybody. So let's go into our case studies too. The biggest things that I've seen with our case studies is, most of our sellers, they just want a seamless, stress-free transaction. That's all they want. They just want to be happy. They don't want a ton of people in their property. They don't want to go through multiple offers. They don't know if this individual is going to be able to close. They don't know how it's going to work. Like, They have no idea. They're constantly like, I do not want to go through this. Look, I just want a true fast offer. That's really why I came up with the name, is because I dealt with so many different sellers. What I found was they just want somebody who's really going to close, tell them the truth about their property, show them the true value of their property, and then move on. That's it. It's not that difficult. And so what I found was the problem was they were just tired, again, of all the multiple buyers. They were just like, this is not going to work. They want something fair and transparent. They want somebody who's trustworthy. Look, I always talk about my military background. The only reason why is I pride myself on that. You know, I did serve this country for 7.5 years. I also went to 2 different wars and 2 different conflicts, Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. I say that because that's who I am, period. I'm a soldier, and then I happen to start doing real estate. Because what I found in real estate, I could have the freedom to do what I want, when I want, but I love helping people. Hey, my love language is actually acts of service, right? So I want to be able to, like, how do we create this win-win that I don't go broke, right? And you could create the win-win, and I could do what I love. I love sometimes buying houses and developing them and making some cool architectural beauties. Like I've done some new developments with butterfly roofs that were inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright. You could even look this stuff up. My biggest thing is, again, creating that win-win. I'll do my job. You just got to let me know, what is the goal? What are we shooting for? And then we'll jump into it. You know, so our biggest thing is, how do we create a solution? I just look at it like this. You've got a puzzle piece, and in this puzzle piece, I've got to bring a piece that's going to be able to solve your puzzle piece. That's it. And we'll create that together. So as a true investor, my goal again is to give you a true fast offer. I have done this dozens and dozens and dozens of times. I know what you're looking at as well. You're probably looking at like, man, this guy used to have a beard and now he doesn't. What's up with that? I know, I just felt like shaving, okay? That's all it is. It's literally it. I didn't even know I could grow a beard until years ago. My son was the one that brought it up. So it is what it is. So the other thing is, we're going to bring a full appraisal on your property with us. Typically, it's anywhere from 30 to 40 pages long, and we're going to go page by page so you can understand this is how we're getting our numbers. We're going off of data, and this is how. We're going to go off of, and I'm going to walk through how we go off of that in these case studies as well. But the number one thing whenever we're meeting with a seller is this. What is your goal? That's the first thing we talk about. What's the goal here? And typically, and you'll see through our case studies, the goals range. The goals could be one thing, and sometimes the goal could be a different thing. The goal could be, hey, I need to get out of this situation. I'm going through a divorce. I'm out. Or somebody just passed away, and I got to get out of this house, man. I don't want to deal. My wife just passed. I don't want to be here anymore. Or you inherited the property. You have no idea about the property, and you just need some money. That's it. Or I just need some money right now. My property's falling apart. I got mold everywhere. I don't know what to do. How can I move forward? And that's it. So then what we do is then we gather facts. Okay, what is the facts of the deal? You know, okay, so let's go over it. What is the actual mortgage on the property? Okay, so does the property need rehab? Does the property need a new roof? Does the property need AC? Does the property need a kitchen? Does the property need flooring? Does the property have upgrades or downgrades? What are the facts? What is your financial facts as well? Then we start going over after we know what your goal is. If it's, I need to make as much money as possible, I got it. Or if it's, I just inherited the property, I don't care, I just want to move on, got it. Once we get the facts, now we're going to go into what's a fast, slow, or creative solution. Fast is typically like, hey, I need money right now. Okay, well, we've got to make sure it's a win-win, so we have to be safe. So for that, it's probably going to be a low offer if we go the fast route. A slow one could probably be a higher offer than what you even thought about. I've done that dozens of times. My goal is like, if we could create that win-win and we have to make a profit. We're a business, but you also have to make a profit too. How do we create that win-win? We're going to have to discuss it, and every deal is different. Or creative. Possibly you could say, hey, Franklin, I'll hold the paper on the property, meaning, Franklin, I want to be the bank note. I'll be the bank, and I just need some money now. I'll hold the note for the rest of it, and then we'll move forward. How does that work? Okay, great. We could do that too. So again, everything is a little bit different. You have really no clue until we start getting into it. And this is John right here. If you see this sheet of paper that he's holding, you see it says fast, slow, creative. We do that every single time. We work it together, and how do we create that win-win-win scenario every time, right? And again, my goal is, and this is what I've heard, and this is what I've seen, is seamless and just stress-free. And that's the number one goal. And I believe a lot of people choose us because, one, if I say something, I do my absolute best to share with you, yes, we can move in that direction. Probably if something comes up, we're going to do our best as a team to be transparent with you right off the bat. But not every scenario is going to work the way we think. But we can be transparent and share with you, hey, this is what's happening through the transaction. What if, let's say that you have a title issue and you didn't even know you had a title issue. Now we're going to have to deal with that together. You're going to have to work with the title company, get that issue situated so we can go to closing. So here's a case study, downsizing. Life happens, people need to move on, right? So this is Ralph. And Ralph's an amazing guy. He was an Air Force veteran, amazing individual. We're going to talk about him in one of the case studies. Then this is also Connie. We're going to talk about Connie as well. And this is Rhonda. So these are 3 different case studies that we're going to bring up. Let's first start with Ralph. Okay, so Ralph had a family member pass away. It was actually his wife that passed. And his wife had cancer, and she was actually a huge Disney fan. She loved Mickey Mouse. She loved everything about Mickey, right? And Ralph had this property here. And he had an extended garage on the property. So if you see right here, he had an extended garage on the property. This was his home, manufactured home. And then he actually had a piece of land right next to it. And when I was breaking this down with Ralph, I said his big thing is he no longer wanted to be at the property. He didn't want to manage it. And we started talking about how can we actually create a win-win scenario. So the way it worked out was we did something creative. He needed money right now to move. And I told him, I said, look, if you want, we could go the slow route. You could make more money. I'll help you subdivide the land, and we could sell the land separate, and we could sell your house separate if you want to go that route, or we could buy it. But if we buy it, you're going to have to you need money now to move, and then we're going to have to clean up the property, fix it, and then we're going to be reselling it, okay? He said, no problem, let's go that route. So he made the choice, and we went the creative route. And through that, he actually got his money that he needed now, and then what we did is he wanted to get in a rush and get everything over with. We actually even helped him move. He was attempting to actually sell some of the furniture and some of the items in his property, and he couldn't. He couldn't even give it away. He had so much. Remember, he was 20 years in the United States Navy. I believe it was Navy or Air Force, one of the two. And then he spent 20 years at Disney, and now he wants to move. He was moving to California to help his son in his own business, in his son's business. And so he just had a hard time moving. So you know what? We brought people. We spent 2 days, get everything out, moved everything, gave some stuff to Habitat for Humanity, gave some stuff to Tabit House to help some of the homeless and some of the veterans out there. And it was a seamless transaction. He actually got exactly what he was looking for, and it just worked, period. And that was Ralph. There he is right there. So here's another scenario. Now, this case study, Rhonda wanted to downsize, but the property needed major repairs, right? So with Rhonda, the problem was, again, the property needed a ton of repairs. So now she can't sell it traditionally because people can't get a mortgage. If your house needs a new roof, the seller or the buyer can't get a mortgage for the property. That's just the way it is. It's not going to work. So with that being said, we had to figure out a creative solution with Rhonda because her property had mold, her property had a leaky roof, there was a lot of issues in the property. So what we decided to do was say, okay, you're going to need some money right now. This is a part of the property, It was literally falling apart here. And you're going to need money right now, and we're going to pay you now, and we'll pay you later as well. Would that work for you? Again, we gave her 3 different options, but I told her, I said, the best thing that possibly is going to be for you is get some money right now. That's totally up to you, but if you want to choose that route, that's what I would recommend. So we provided that. We gave her the cash up front. It worked out. We helped her with the moving expenses. She's actually now living with her mother. Her mother's older than her, in her mother's home, because her mother's very close to passing away and transitioning. And so Rhonda said, you know what? It's all good. Just do what you have to do to the property, and I'll make the money whenever you guys finish the property and sell it. I'll make the other half. So it was, again, a win-win scenario, because she could not just move out. She could not just sell the property traditionally. It needed so much work, she would get pennies on the dollar, because nobody's going to pay her top dollar for it. So I just figured out a way how we can make it all work and make that win-win scenario with Rhonda. And that's exactly what we did. So here's another scenario as well. So this is a vacant land scenario. Okay, so this is Claire. Claire is the CEO of Lakeland Habitat for Humanity. Amazing individual. They're doing great things. She has been with Habitat for 30 plus years. They had 20 acres of land right here. This is off of Old Tampa Highway. So this whole entire 20-acre parcel, very large parcel, and I'll talk to this camera for a little bit. So very large parcel. And so this 20 acres, they had it for years, and they could not do anything with it. And so she was stressed out. She was just like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this? And a lot of landowners don't understand land. So what they do is they kind of go through this process of not understanding it and not even knowing where to start. So you have to get what they call an ESA 1 report. That's usually an environmental site assessment. That could cost anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. You have to get a geotech study. That means you have to bore in the ground and see if the soil is good. That's another study. You have to get what they call a wetland delineation to see if there's any wetlands. This property had a big chunk of wetlands. You also have to see, is there any easements on the property? It had what they call a Duke Energy power line easement on the property. This makes it very unsellable for a lot of people, just because now what individuals are looking for is they're looking for what is the buildable area square footage, or the buildable acreage. What can you actually build on a property? So it doesn't matter how big your land is. What matters is what is buildable for the next person. Because remember, we got to create a win-win scenario. So I created an idea, and it was something similar to being creative, because I needed to figure out what I could even do with the land. I had no idea yet. So we figured out, look, let's create something that works for both parties. You, Habitat, need some money right now. I'm willing to do that, and I'm willing to do a due diligence period so I can have the time to start figuring out what works and what doesn't work on that property. And we agreed. We created, again, we go off of the goal of saying, hey, what's her goal? To maximize her profit. That was her goal. What's the facts of the deal? And then let's create a fast, slower, creative solution. And we did. And it worked out beautifully for Habitat. I was actually able to pay them, I think it was, at the end of the day, it was $950,000 for this piece of land. And it was a win-win for everybody. It was a good, fair deal for her. It was a fair deal for me. And then when we moved it on to another party, it was a fair deal for them too. So what I always see is, hey, it's a win-win. Let's keep on moving on. That's it. And then I was able to actually, from that relationship, I was able to be the main developer and build and design a home specifically for Habitat because of that. So that was at 709 North Vermont, Lakeland, Florida. That was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath property. It was drop dead gorgeous. It was, again, kind of off of that Frank Lloyd Wright style. It had what I call compression to decompression feature. It kind of looked like a cave when you first got in, and then it just went all the way up to 22-foot high ceilings when you went inside the property. So this is what it finished looked like. So it was a great experience. It was 4 months of my life, and I was super happy about it. Then I was able to assist Habitat with another parcel that they had at 0 Sunset Road in Mulberry. And that was an 8.7 acre parcel. They were going to do a veterans home park there, but they didn't know what they were doing in a sense of, hey, what can we develop? Who do we talk to? All they did is they started working on blueprints, but nobody asked the questions, can we actually do this? Come to find out, they weren't able to do that. And so we were able to design an industrial park for them and actually get buyers for them. And they actually profited a pretty good amount. They had some title issues, but again, they didn't even know that. So we assisted with that. So that's why land is very valuable as well. The biggest thing, again, create that win-win scenario. How do we make it work for you, us, and then that third party? So here's another case study as well. This is Crystal. So this is Irene, her sister, Crystal, who I know, actually me and my son used to play on the baseball team with Ty. This is her oldest son, who used to be a lot smaller. And then her brother, Thomas. So they're all one family. And they inherited a property. And you know how this is when family, they inherit a property. Some people want more, some people want less, some people want this, some people want that. Everything is a little bit different. You have no idea, right? So many of the heirs really didn't want to deal with each other, but Crystal was the main person. She just wanted to make it all work. So how do we get everything complete? How do we get the rehab finished? How do we get everybody out of the property? The property needed a ton of work, but it was a great location. How do we create that solution remotely? Crystal was not there. Irene and Thomas were local. So we were able to get contracts and communicate with Crystal via using DocuSign, create a win-win scenario on that particular deal, and then have everybody sign remotely if they were available. And then when we closed, we gave them top dollar for their property. It was actually a little bit more than what she expected. And we just created that win-win scenario. Again, if you're telling us what is your goal, you're telling us what's the facts of the deal, and then you're open to actually saying, hey, I want to create that win-win scenario for everybody as well. How do we make it work? Sometimes I could actually give you more than what you were even expecting, but sometimes not. And I have to be realistic with you and say, hey, this is what the numbers are saying. And we are not in the risk business. If I was here taking a lot of big risks, I wouldn't be in business. So my goal is to create that win-win-win scenario. So again, fast closing. This was no hassle at all. And all three of them got exactly what they were looking for in the transaction. The property needed some cleanup. Thomas had his motorcycles and thing around there. Irene had her stuff. Crystal just wanted some old photo albums from when she was a kid because it was their grandparents. It was Crystal's grandparents' property and Irene and Thomas' grandparents' property as well. So it all worked out perfectly. So this is module 2. You are complete. Congratulations. We're going to be going to the next one. Again, thank you so much. Hopefully you guys are getting something out of this as well. And so I'll see you on the next module. All right. Bye.